the fuck?
So I guess part 1 of Bungo Stray Dogs just ended yesterday, and all I gotta say is what the fuck. First off, the way they just slimed out my fine shit. Like, dude, I was expecting the way Fyodor goes out to be a lot more, eventful? I'm sorry, but the way he just died, low-key felt a bit rushed, especially considering his ability and all that happened in the prison arc, and yeah. And also, I still have so much I want to learn about his character and his backstory. His last words were low-key iconic though, I can't lie. This isn't about Fyodor though. I low-key have a lot I want to talk about, but there was something else that was just like, dude, what do I even say? I think it's pretty obvious what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, so I've always hated the shit between Kyoka and Atsushi, and the fact that it might have just become canon in this chapter is like, dude, what the fuck? Okay, but wait, let's think of the ways that this relationship between these two characters could possibly go after this love confession scene. First, there's the shit becoming canon, and Kyoka and Atsushi are love interests for the rest of the series. But I personally don't think that's going to happen, which leads me to theory number 2. Maybe it's just my denial and delusion because I hate the ship and don't want to see it become canon. Maybe I'm actually right. But either way, here's my thoughts on the Kyoka love confession scene. First, let's understand the context to this scene. There's not really much to explain, but it's just the current arc of BSD coming to an end. They finally defeat Fyodor, and Atsushi is over here yapping about his past once again. And Kyoka comes up and asks Atsushi if he's doing okay. Atsushi then tells Kyoka that he's not really sure what to do now that he's free from his past, since that trauma has been all he's known for his entire life. And then he thanks Kyoka for basically saving him. Then Kyoka just confesses her love to him, but actually she gets nervous and doesn't actually finish her confession and ends up saying she's hungry instead when Atsushi asked what she said. Now, the idea of Atsushi and Kyoka has always been there since the beginning of BSD. Let me remind you all that Kyoka has been shown to get nervous around Atsushi and stuff, somewhat implying that she has a crush on him. So this is nothing new. It's a bit hard to tell if Atsushi reciprocates those feelings at first glance because sometimes he seems to be too blind to see that Kyoka is in love with him, and other times he gets all nervous around her too. But if you look closer at the way Atsushi sees Kyoka, it seems more likely that he doesn't even like Kyoka like that. Well, first things first, the obvious, their age gap. Kyoka is 14 and Atsushi is 18. That's a 4-year age gap. Kyoka is a minor and Atsushi is an adult. I don't think Atsushi is really the type to date outside of his own age range. So let's take a look at Atsushi's and Dazai's relationship real quick. Atsushi has a very similar dynamic and age gap with Dazai as he does with Kyoka. Although it's a bit different since they're both adults and Atsushi hypothetically confessing to Dazai wouldn't really be that bad, it's very much not the type of dynamic to become a romantic one. Atsushi looks up to Dazai because Dazai saved him, and Atsushi would have probably still been homeless and starving, or possibly have even died trying to live on the streets alone. Now for Kyoka, she looks up to Atsushi in a similar way since Atsushi saved her from the mafia and gave her a place to stay instead of turning her into the police. Because of this, Kyoka has likely grown to be very attached to Atsushi. Also, keep in mind that Kyoka is very young, making it more likely for her to be mistaking her platonic love and admiration for Atsushi as a romantic crush. It isn't an uncommon thing for young teenagers to get platonic and romantic feelings mixed up. In fact, I very much did the same at that age. Pretty much Kyoka's entire life has been really traumatic in some way and has only felt love from her family, which was so long ago and she was way younger when she had family members who were alive. She obviously wouldn't feel romantic feelings for a family member, so since Atsushi has been the only person to show her love and form a deep connection with her other than a family member, it's very likely that she mistook her deep platonic love for him as a romantic bond. It's kind of like how Dipper is with Wendy from Gravity Falls. I'm using them as my example because they're a more obvious example of this type of thing in fiction and popular enough that I feel like most people watching this will know who I'm talking about. Dipper tries time after time to impress Wendy so that she will like him back, even though she'd obviously never like him back and has even said so herself because he's 12 and she's 15.
I'm too old for you. I mean, you know that, right?
But since he's so young, he doesn't really see anything wrong with it and continues to have a crush on her and trying to get with her, likely mistaking his platonic feelings for her as romantic since she's the only person other than his sister who has actually seemed to take interest in his weird interests that most people have been shown to pick on him for. Now let's look at why Atsushi would probably not like Kyoka back. First of all, he's way more mature than she is. He's an 18-year-old and is definitely able to see the difference between platonic and romantic feelings. And as I said at the beginning of this rant, he isn't really the type to date outside of his age range in my opinion. He's also old enough to know that 14 and 18 is a pretty big age gap, and he probably shouldn't do anything to lead Kyoka on. But look at the way Atsushi looks and smiles at Kyoka when she got scared and said she was hungry instead of finishing her confession. He definitely knows that Kyoka has had a crush on him for quite a while now and understands that she's young and just confused. He probably just doesn't really know how to kindly let Kyoka down, so anything that Kyoka or anyone can take as him leading her on or whatever is probably very unintentional, and he's just trying to save Kyoka's feelings because she's young and doesn't fully understand the concept of romantic love and relationships, and turning her down in the wrong way could hurt her a lot. And the last thing Atsushi would want to do is hurt Kyoka. Lucy is very likely going to be Atsushi's actual love interest later on in the series. There has always been implications of Atsushi and Lucy liking each other. For example, both Lucy and Atsushi have been shown to be nervous around each other. This is shown in a similar way that Kyoka's crush on Atsushi has been shown. They've also been shown to risk their lives for each other and open up to each other a lot. Although Atsushi kind of just trauma dumps whenever, I don't think it's really that big of a deal for him. But for Lucy, I don't think it's the same. I think the reason that she opened up to Atsushi as much as she did is because of how similar their backstories are, and she finally found someone who she can relate to on a deeper and more personal level and can understand while he understands her too. I think Atsu Lucy has so much more potential than AtsuKyou for being a good ship because of all these parallels that they have with each other. And it's way more likely for Lucy and Atsushi to become canon than Kyoka and Atsushi, especially since they're around the same age. I also want to mention that in the anthology, Atsushi says that Kyoka is like a sister to him. He also goes out of his way to make Kyoka happy and live a better life and have a good childhood that he was never able to have. Atsushi very clearly loves and cares about Kyoka just as much as she cares about him, but Atsushi is just able to recognize that those strong emotions that he feels towards her are platonic and not romantic. This whole love confession is probably just Kyoka being young and confused, and if it's dragged on, Atsushi will probably eventually reject her. I highly doubt a romantic relationship between them will really go anywhere or even actually happen, since Lucy is kind of Atsushi's canon interest. It's kind of like Aya and Kunikita. Kunikita saved Aya's life, and Aya, being a young kid, felt a deep appreciation towards Kunikita, but didn't recognize it as a deep appreciation and thought she had romantic feelings for him, since she didn't really understand. Aya is 10 years old and Kunikita is 22. Kunikita, being the bigger person, had to let Aya down, and Aya didn't really take that rejection too well.
それと国木田さんな年上は敬えろくな大人になら
But I feel like that's what Atsushi is going to end up doing, except probably in a different way. I feel like it would end up being good character development for Kyoka in a way too. Basically learning how to be loved, if that makes sense. But yeah, Kyoka will definitely realize that she was confused about her feelings for Atsushi when she's older. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. I don't really know how to end this, so yeah, goodbye.